Hey, what's up everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. Alright, so got my food, feeling good. It's nice and cool out here. It ain't bad weather yet. Hopefully it don't rain while I'm walking back, but I think we're in the clear for the most part. And yeah, man, I feel good. I want people to consider what it is that we've been talking about on this channel in regards to normalizing removing peace from those who benefit from the slaughtering of children. You know, they go to different places to have their sit downs or to talk about how they're going to make money off of warfare and all these different things. I think those people should be faced with protests. You know, I've seen people do a great job. Organizations like Code Pink step up and protest these individuals as they're sitting back normalizing these practices of profiting off of genocide, profiting off of warfare. I understand it's a business and that we have normalized that business for as long as this country has been in place. There's been individuals who benefit greatly from war, guns, violence, etc. But in a time where we're seeing genocide in our phones and we see the aftermath of what these bombs do, it's a different type of responsibility to the common man who sees these things to stand up and express that he's not happy with these things, and stand up and express how he is horrified or she is horrified by what they're seeing there. If they want to do all of that dirt while on camera, then they should expect a different reaction from those who have witnessed that behavior. And that's really what I think our responsibility is at this point. We can look at our ancestors and be frustrated with them, but at the end of the day, they didn't have the footage. They were listening to propaganda and there was nothing to retort that. We are not afforded that luxury. We see what's going on. We hear the cries from the mothers. We see what the bombs and destruction cause. We've seen the bodies. And it's a different responsibility to us as the generation that is seeing these things than than those that came before us and their responsibility to the world around them. If they were in a place where they could see all of the carnage, like we're seeing all of the carnage, then they would be responsible for raising awareness to prevent it too. But we are not afforded the ability to say out of sight, out of mind, because this is in our faces. And we are especially irresponsible for behaving that way when it is in our faces. I say this, you know, after watching genocide for the last 4 years, after seeing footage today of men on the ground with missing limbs, fresh off a bomb exploding in their midst, knowing that these individuals are innocent, knowing that these individuals are just regular people like you and me. There's no reason for us who see what's happening to them act as if we don't. There's no reason for us to sit here and act like we don't have some inclination that this is wrong, or act like we don't respect the urgency to come to someone else's aid. Because if something happens to us, suddenly the concept of such is so very clear to us. Where's the humanity when something happens to my people? Where's the humanity when something happens to your kids? Where's the humanity? But you don't have any humanity when something happens to somebody else. Now, you are not afforded the ability to act like you don't see it. You're just rotten in the sense that you don't care until it's pointed at you. That type of rotten energy needs to be shown from here on out. I salute people that stand up and protest, that stand up and make these people who are engaging in these behaviors uncomfortable. And I want to normalize that on my channel too. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Anything less than that is irresponsible. I often like to say that I'm trying to become a responsible ancestor to the next generations. And the best way to do that is to try to prevent some of the things that are preventable in regards to the suffering that's coming their way. One being deterring the behavior of those who are tumbling forward the practices of putting genocide in the midst of all of us, making it normal so that will be how they handle their problems in the future as well. We got to deter that. We got to bring about some consequences to that behavior. We got to bring about some resistance to that to save lives in the future. We got to bring down a harsh hand on those who want to pass that forward to them. Or otherwise, we are just as culpable to the suffering of tomorrow's people as they are. And so that's what it is I'm saying. If we have some inclination that we've been living in a fog of propaganda and poor cultures that are meant to normalize this behavior, it's not incumbent on us to continue to feed into that within our own spaces, but more so to fight our way through that fog, put our faith first in effort, and change the culture one person at a time. Anything less than that is irresponsible, cowardice in my opinion, and complicit to any murders that take place thereafter in that regard. And when it comes your way, just know that you did it too. When you lose a child in that situation, or a family member, or many, just know that you did have a few degrees of separation from that action, because there was something you could have did leading up to that moment and you did nothing. You saw what the people in the Middle East was going through and you said nothing. You couldn't be bothered. You were too busy worried about the stability of your surroundings being disrupted by the nature of your conversation. Worried about seeming sane in a space that's fine with people dying who are innocent individuals. I don't want to be sane in a world where it's sane to be fine with kids dying. I'm sorry, I don't care if to be sane in your world. I'd rather be crazy in your world. I'd rather be weird in your world. If weird is going to save lives, let me be that. If weird's going to keep these kids from losing limbs before they're able to walk, let me be weird in that regard. That's an honor. And any deviation from that understanding is a disruption to humanity itself, and a corruption upon the minds of individuals who have choices to be better or worse. I've seen enough to know enough in that regard. I've been awakened to understanding the propaganda that's been on the minds of many. I've also seen enough bodies of children in the genocide over the last 3 years to know my responsibilities and not pretend like I'm still in that fog for the sake of my own safety and the sake of my own comfort and the sake of my own reputation, which is tarnished in a world that's comfortable with people dying to begin with. Comfortable with children dying to begin with. And as I said about my sanity, I'd rather be someone with a bad reputation in a world where it's good to have a reputation for allowing for genocide of children. I'd rather be a disruptor and a problem causer in a world where the only way you can keep from being a problem causer is to be fine with children dying. I don't want that upon my name, just because you've normalized that disruption, that disturbance, that deformity of humanity. I have no interest in that. I won't bring about any peace to you if that's what you're trying to normalize in your surroundings. And I champion anybody who brings about that example. Genocide is wrong no matter who it's pointed at. But it's especially wrong when the people who are watching don't say anything. It's especially wrong when the people who it's being pointed at have been trying to raise awareness for their suffering and are being ignored by others who are on watch. And that's my point of view. I am aware, and as a person who is aware, there comes a responsibility, not just to myself, but to others. Others in terms of waking people around me up, or anyone who follows me up, to make normal what is otherwise considered perverse, speaking out against genocide despite it being normal not to. Speaking out and making normal that of disrupting the peace of those who are pushing forward that nonsense upon us for the sake of whatever their choices or whatever their ideologies or whatever their faith or lack thereof. Those who think money should be the bottom line to all decisions involving humanity. Those people and their peace shall part ways. And that's really what it comes down to, man. We in this generation have absolutely failed in regards to meeting the urgency necessary for the causes of the world around us. We have failed. We may have the excuse of propaganda. We may have the excuse of what is conditioned upon us. But those excuses fall on deaf ears when you consider what the history books are going to say about us. They are not going to care because they know that we saw what we saw. And once we saw it, that was an automatic wake-up button. Once you seen the dead babies, that right there snapped you out of that spell. What did you do after you woke up? Did you clutch your pearls and consider all the things that would make you most responsible in an irresponsible world? Or did you put your reputation and your sanity on the line to make normal what should have been made normal, to protect people from the suffering that ultimately they did not deserve? And that's what it is that I'm saying to you guys. I'm not at all interested in maintaining this world of peace with some people getting what they're supposed to get and other people being left by the wayside as a foundation for the rest of us to stand upon and make balance of our own lives. That's ridiculous. That's demonic. And most importantly, it's unnecessary. And it's a perversion of balance to begin with, because there's nothing balanced about it. And I want people in America and in the Western world to understand you are standing on the shoulders of persecuted people. You are standing on the bodies of babies while you're building your foundation for which this is all about. This capitalism foundation is built on the backs of slaves. It's built on the backs of innocent individuals. In order to keep it going, you have to be fine with more people dying, more bodies to feed that foundation. Maybe even your own, and that of your children's, their children's children, etc. This thing will need to continue to be fed. And that's why it's no good for any of us anymore. That's why it was never any good for us in the first place. And that's pretty much my thought on this, man. I'm praying for everybody who's being stood upon. I pray for anybody that Zionist white supremacy and American capitalism and Western world capitalism is standing upon the backs of. You deserve better than that. You deserve balance and freedom and rectification for the persecution pointed against you, reparations for the persecution pointed against you. You deserve every bit of the money that they're sharing amongst each other. You deserve every bit of the fairness that ultimately they demand and that they feel protects them. Bdf 44, I thank you all for watching. I'm out.